and welcome to my live highlights of the Diantha episode. So, of course, I'm watching the Diantha episode. I will be cutting parts of my reaction, so you only get to the good stuff. So, anyway, let's jump right in here. Oh, looking at this episode, it looks like we're starting in some town. Might even be in a star city. It's in a star city. Olympia and Diantha. Sweet. There you go. Oh, there's that guard. Oh, nice. I was hoping that it would be like that. Awesome start. Alright, here we go. And it's an Ash episode. Yep. Oh, Ash is exercising, so is Greninja. Nice. And then they're racing. Oh, how nice. This is awesome. Oh, Ash, what are you going to do about that one? Oh, not bad. Oh, uh-oh. Ooh, Ash fell. Oh yeah, we're at Serena and Clement talking. Oh, now they see Ash and Greninja. Oh, yep, Greninja won. Bonnie. Oh, Diantha's here with the helicopter. Huh. Interesting. Oh, Olympia. She mentioned Olympia. Jesse. Okay. Jesse. Ooh, they're talking about the laser that was in the Ash versus Alon versus Sawyer episode. Interesting. Zygarde. Zygarde. Oh. Team Rocket. Interesting. Alright, the versus screen. Nice. This is so exciting. Oh, it's using cut. Oh, Gardevoir dodged. Huh? What did it use? Oh, cut. Ooh, Greninja's struggling. Shadow Ball. Oh, Greninja got hit. Oh. Ooh, this battle's amazing. Oh no. I would dodge that. Oh no. Oh, nice. Oh, here we go. Here we go. There we go. Ash-Greninja time. Ooh, see Maggie got laid as well. So Maggie got it wrong. That's cool. Cat turn was that weird one on that Daredevil. There we go. Oh, yep, there's Greninja. Oh, oh, wow. She was barely able to block that. Oh, Airleaves. Ooh, double team. Uh-oh, here we go. Oh, no. Oh. Oh, wow. Uh-oh. What? Oh. Wow. Oh, no. Really, Team Rocket? Wow. Yeah, whatever, Team Rocket. Team Rocket. Hmm. Wow, this was an awesome episode. This was an awesome episode. Yes. Oh, looks like Diantha has to leave now. Oh, here's Team Flare. Oh yeah, they were in the VA. Were nice, nice. This was a really cool episode. So I'm gonna stop here. Wow! This episode was good. Who knew Sawyer could be so strong with that blade? No, I'm just kidding. The Diantha episode was awesome. Pokemon! 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 Hello everyone, I'm Dustin Benzel, and welcome to another Pokemon XY&Z anime discussion. Today we're going to talk about the episode, next week's episodes, and a summary or two or title in regards to everything else. So this is probably going to be a very long video because there's a lot of stuff that I have to discuss in regards to this particular episode. So I'm going to go down and make certain notes here that I've written before we get into the other things or whatever. So one thing that I do like about this particular episode is that Olympia did show up in person rather than just a flashback. It was nice to see that the episode started with Diantha and Olympia talking about the Kalos crisis, and then Olympia's like, or both Olympia and Diantha were mentioning Ash, and then of course that brought the whole Diantha looking for Ash. 2. Diantha in the helicopter. I really liked that she got into her helicopter or whatever and flew around and tried to find Ash, and that's what happened. Another thing that I like is that there was so much name dropping of Ash, not only in regards to the beginning with Olympia, but also after the whole episode. Diantha was on the helicopter, and of course, she decided to talk about Ash some more. And of course, what's interesting is Zygarde does get a mention from Olympia, and we actually got a picture that was shown to Ash and Company in regards to what Zygarde should look like or what Zygarde looks like. Now, the interesting thing, and I saw some criticism somewhere about why couldn't Olympia see Zygarde back then? Well, see, the thing is, what you have to realize is that Olympia pretty much told us in the beginning episodes that she appeared that her visions are not always clear. What this means is that, of course, as the crisis of Kalos draws closer, it would make sense for a psychic individual to be more clear about the details, and that, of course, would be Zygarde. At the time, she just knew that something mysterious was going to happen, or a crisis was going to happen, and she just barely may have gotten any sort of hint in regards to Zygarde, the Pokemon, or whatever. So it's really nice that the vision became more clear and we got it. And of course, all the mentions of Diantha showing Ash and Company. Amazing battle, just plain amazing battle. There's nothing more than I could say about that, but I will go into an in-depth explanation in regards to the battle. So anything, and then the next thing I say here is everything battle was amazing. So I also say, while Team Rocket's appearance was mostly unwanted and not welcomed, I unfortunately have to let it go because Diantha showed the group Zygarde and Team Rocket were watching, and therefore they recognized Blue Zygarde Core as the thing that transformed into Zygarde. So their role kind of makes a little bit of sense because of the name drop.
of Zygarde 50% form. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that they needed to try and do the usual antics that they did. They could have just got information and then been like, hey, instead of capturing anybody, we really need to think about this Zygarde thing and then just fly away. But that didn't happen. But oh well, whatever. So, however, with the exception of them trying to steal Mega Gardevoir in this episode, I did like how Mega Gardevoir did effortlessly destroyed that energy capture ring that they use and blasted Team Rocket to oblivion. There was a funny image where at first they're like, "Ha! Mega Gardevoir can't break through! Ha ha ha! Our technology is great!" And then Mega Gardevoir broke through, and then Team Rocket were like, oh, well, it's not like we weren't expecting this. Come on, Team Rocket, really? Anyway, so some critical observations of this particular episode include Ash versus Diantha. What does this episode mean? What does the battle mean? There are some people mixed about how the battle turned out. Some are thinking this is amazing and we're finally getting somewhere in regards to Ash and beating the champion or whatever. Some are thinking this battle was ridiculous and Diantha is the weakest champion or whatever. And some go a little bit beyond just their opinion of how ridiculous it is and basically shoved Diantha and Ash under the bus because of their criticism of the battle because they weren't quite understanding the battle. But this is my personal objective and subjective analysis of the battle. So keep in mind that I'm ignoring the battle with Sawyer and Wolfric and the Kalos League for this particular perspective because any other factor or variable will probably mess with my mind and my thoughts in regards to this particular battle in regards to the analysis and because they haven't happened yet. So if Sawyer's Greninja, if Sawyer's Sceptile somehow manages to knock out Ash-Greninja or something in next week's episode, well, then of course my perspective doesn't really matter, but let's go and discuss my in-depth analysis of this particular battle, and it's going to be a long discussion, so sit back and enjoy. So now, for those of you who thought this battle proves that Diantha is a weak champion, she needs to be replaced or whatever you are thinking, I have to say that not only is that type of comment insulting of Diantha's character, but it's also subtly insulting Ash's character as well. And my example is, let's say I play a video game, and while I'm not the best at it, I am pretty decent, but I don't do so well in the regional championships or whatever, and I always get my butt handed to me by other better competitors. Then it would seem that something just clicked in my brain, kind of like Ash-Greninja happened. Something just happens, and in my video game example, let's say that something clicked in my head, something was making sense. I go to another regional area, and then I go into the tournaments, and I go up against the regional champion, and I did very well. Maybe not even defeating the champion, but I did very decent. But prior to that, I had no chance of beating a regional champion in regards to this particular video game or whatever. I personally would feel very insulted if someone said, well, this regional champion must suck if Dustin is doing so well against him. And I would feel sorry for the regional champion as well to think Dustin is doing so well against you, you must suck as a champion of a region. It's a double-edged insult or complaint because it's like I didn't make the regional champion struggle because I just was able to do this particular video game properly. And it's kind of the same here. It's kind of the same principle here. We've seen Ash for almost 20 years, approximately 19 years, almost 20 years will be next year since the anime come out. And even though Ash hasn't aged, He's still gone through many regions and has experienced more than any other person could possibly claim within the Pokemon world based on everything that Ash has gone through. When Ash is finally given extra treatment, it seems people would like nothing more than to undervalue that extra treatment while also saying harsh word against the champion as well. And this annoys me, especially if there are those who hate Ash and want him to replace. So let's go through everything we know about this particular battle. Ash-Greninja are supposed to be pivotal in stopping the Kalos crisis. A lot of people are condemning and criticizing this idea because then why would Ash lose the league to some random nobody if he has this great and powerful Ash-Greninja Pokemon? I'm pretty sure this will, of course, end up being a case of being in the right place at the right time under the right circumstances. I presume that Ash will be in the center of the Kalos at that critical time, the center of the Kalos crisis, wherever Team Flare is, and if they succeed in that particular location, the whole entire world is going to be destroyed, basically. That's what I'm thinking here, and I think Ash is going to be directly in the center of it. And of course, because he's at the center of it, he will be in the right position to be able to stop the crisis. And this literally could be as simple and not as other people are thinking, but this could be merely as simple as Ash-Greninja being fast enough to dodge not only Alon's Mega Charizard X, but also possibly Lysander's Mega Gyarados, and be able to launch a powerful water shuriken at Team Flare's weapon, destroying it. It really could be that simple. And of course, my theory, what could happen is that weapon is controlling Zygarde complete, going around destroying and remaking the world as it goes, and it's maybe not just a weapon, because obviously Zygarde is going to be a thing. It could be even as simple as Zygarde complete is powering what? Powering the weapon. You know, taking Zygarde complete's power and transforming it into a weapon. We've kind of already seen this in the first Ash versus Alon battle when Xerosic was using Zygarde cells to power up that particular weapon. And so I really think it is going to be that simple. What I don't think, and I think people are giving way too much credit to the Kalos crisis, is I don't think that Ash is going to be a miniature Diantha or miniature Cynthia or a miniature champion and have this uber strong Pokemon taking everyone left and right and even potentially taking out Zygarde complete. I really don't think it's going to be that possible. Maybe Zygarde 50%, maybe one of the obstacles for Ash-Greninja might be Zygarde 50% form, but if Zygarde complete is going to appear, then I'm pretty sure it's not going to be making any sense for Ash-Greninja to be strong enough to take out Zygarde complete. Zygarde complete is like Primal Groudon and Primal Rayquaza for the most, well, not Primal Groudon, Primal Kyogre in Mega Evolution Act 3, where Steven, the champion of the Hoenn region, had struggles and problems even deflecting the attacks, and at pretty much at any point, Groudon and Kyogre were going to defeat Steven. So I think this is merely just going to be a window of opportunity. And because of that, I think that Ash-Greninja is going to be that. So I think it's going to be basically Ash-Greninja slips through everyone's fingers to destroy the weapon. I think that's what it's saying here. Secondly, Diantha was clearly not trying her best in the battle against Ash. I'm not suggesting that Diantha was so far ahead of being unstoppable, nor am I suggesting that Ash had no shot of putting up a decent fight against Diantha with Ash-Greninja. What I'm saying is Diantha was not going full force on Ash. It's easy to imagine in a fight, whether Pokemon or human versus human, if you basically stand there and not do anything, you're not going to have a good time. The thing is, Diantha easily checked Ash multiple times. One was even an indirect and almost seemingly knocked out Greninja. When Moonblast struck, it hit the ground. It didn't hit Greninja at all. Moonblast exploded into a powerful concussive shockwave, like I think a nuclear bomb or a big explosion has this powerful shockwave that is strong enough, the force is strong enough that it might knock you over or even cause you to die or something like that. And it really was just it was indirect damage for the most part. The concussive shockwave sent Greninja flying into a tree and slamming into a tree. And at this particular point, when I first saw it, I don't think it's in my live highlights, but I do remember thinking at that time, like, oh, is this the end for Greninja? So I was thinking, oh, Ash loses here, insert Team Rocket, insert Greninja stuff, insert rematch or whatever with Greninja without its water veil. So then, of course, Greninja was okay. And the thing that is important to know is that this was basic Gardevoir. What this means, what this shows, what we saw here in this short amount of time of Gardevoir using Moonblast, and basically what happened when Moonblast hit the ground and basically exploded in all of this concussive force, we can say for certain that Gardevoir in its base form, if it were to strike with one Moonblast and Greninja was hit directly, Greninja would be one hit KO. So imagine Mega Gardevoir and then think, well, Ash-Greninja might be stronger or faster, but does that necessarily mean that it could take as much damage? After all, Ash-Greninja in the Ash vs. Alon battle, the first one, Ash-Greninja knocked out after using Blast Burn, after Charizard used Blast Burn, and Blast Burn was not very effective. So you can imagine Moonblast being twice as effective as opposed to Blast Burn. You would think that the champion's Mega Gardevoir would be able to knock out even Ash-Greninja, even if Ash-Greninja was that much stronger. So then how can I explain what happened next? And if that's the case, if Diantha wasn't trying, why wouldn't Ash be regarded as not being able to put a decent fight against Diantha? That's the thing though. I'm not suggesting that Ash could beat Diantha. What I'm suggesting is that he could put up a decent fight against Diantha, but still ultimately lose. So then why did Ash-Greninja do so well against Gardevoir Mega Gardevoir? Wouldn't that imply that Diantha is weaker than the other champions? No. The thing is, as I said before, is Diantha wasn't trying her best. Her entire purpose was to check Greninja, and maybe that's a slang-like concept, but it basically means to put people, and it means to put someone in their place, and in this instance, it was putting like Ash and Greninja in their place. And by that, and what I mean is that Diantha was making sure that Greninja wasn't, or Ash and Greninja weren't being overconfident and over cocky and thinking that they were really hot stuff when in reality they were not. So it's like Diantha was thinking, oh, so you think you have the strongest Pokemon, or you have this really special Greninja, but let's see it battle against my Pokemon. It was Diantha's unfamiliarity with how Ash battled with Greninja and a lot of other things that contributed in Ash doing so well. because Diantha wasn't trying. If you saw the beginning of the episode, you would have, or not the episode, the battle, you would have seen her smirk, and it was an overconfident smirk, like, oh, you think you're hot stuff, huh? Smirk. You know, it was kind of like that. There were times where Diantha was impressed and enjoyed the battle, but a lot of times it was unexpected. The cut that hit base farm Gardevoir was because Ash actually managed to trick Gardevoir. And what happened during that scene, if you remember correctly, there was water shuriken, and then Gardevoir was trying to block that, but of course Ash quickly countered with using cut. That was a little unexpected because I don't think Diantha was expecting that, and I'm not sure if Diantha reacted to that at all, but it just seemed like something strategic to do. And of course, based on the other formats or whatever, that's not what happened. And this is, I think, is very similar to what happened against Olympia. Ash used an attack to deflect Psyshock or whatever, and to block an attack, would then follow up with another attack. So that's why Greninja managed to use a cut on Gardevoir during that particular moment. Then it became Ash-Greninja. And of course, because of Ash-Greninja's unfamiliarity, it makes sense that Greninja did so well. Because Diantha has no idea of what to expect of Ash-Greninja, basically. So that's why everything was able to happen, because of the unexpected nature. Because the important thing you have to realize here is that Diantha only used Moonblast once, or her Gardevoir was only told to use Moonblast once. Why? Because I'm pretty sure, based on the concussive blast that happened the first time, that if she did, it would knock it out, and she was just there to test. She didn't think Greninja would do so well. So because of Ash-Greninja, of what it was, it could put up a decent fight. It could give clean hits to Mega Gardevoir, the champion of the region. I feel like if this took place in any series, that would be the case. What I don't think is that if Ash continued, that Gardevoir was going to lose. Unless, of course, Diantha hadn't decided to go ahead and switch to actually trying and doing stuff, because it didn't look like she was trying all that much. Because you can't... There's no way that you can say that Diantha was trying her best to beat Ash. If she was going to, Greninja would have lost. So, right after that water shuriken hit, with that giant water shuriken, of course, that's when Ash passed out. And then right after Ash passed out, of course, we see that Gardevoir is up, when before it was like on the ground. So that means like within a short time, Gardevoir got up and was still able to battle. So I think that if the battle were to continue, Diantha would have beaten Ash. The only reason I can think that maybe Ash-Greninja may have been so strong as it was maybe because of the mechanic, the formula behind Ash-Greninja. And that maybe Ash-Greninja has the potential to be this mega powerful, strongest Pokemon ever, but it's limited by Ash's physical capabilities. And that's why Ash passed out. So I don't necessarily think that Diantha was going to ever lose. I don't think if this was a real battle that Ash would have won. I'm pretty sure Diantha would have won eventually. What it means is that the writers and executive producers are hinting that Ash could maybe grow enough to be this powerful trainer that could take on the Elite Four and champion. What I expect is in next generation, 7th generation, I expect his Pokemon to probably be a bunch of 3-stage evolutions like Greninja, Talonflame, and Goodra, or whatever. Maybe a couple of just one evolutions, and I don't know if we're going to get a standalone like Hawlucha or whatever, but the point is, I feel like that is going to be his strongest team, of course, if Ash actually does go into Sun and Moon. If Ash does go into Sun and Moon, I really think that his Pokemon will be that much stronger and therefore able to be his strongest team ever, enough to beat the league, and then we can get the Elite Four and champion. And then if, God forbid, they decide to get rid of Ash, that would be the best time. What I don't like is everyone thinking this Ash-Greninja thing is this super duper champion level Pokemon, and Ash beats the league with it, beats the Elite Four, and beats the champion, and that's the end of Ash, new protagonist for Sun and Moon. I don't like that for the simple fact that there is not enough time to properly conclude Ash's journey. And I don't know if I said this in my Q&A or in the forums, but I do not want Ash's conclusion to be rushed as heck, and it will be if we don't get a proper conclusion. So, one last thing that I want to say in regards to Diantha is, and just to sum up everything, is that I feel like if Diantha treated this like a real official battle, one where she had to win, Ash wouldn't have had a chance and we would have gotten a different outcome. I don't even think Greninja would have been capable enough to even be around. Because one other note that I want to make note is, notice how Diantha only used Shadow Ball most of the time outside of Reflect or even Moonblast. Shadow Ball is a ghost type, which means it is resisted by Greninja's dark typing. So, of course, that wouldn't nearly do any damage. It's also why I'm pretty sure Diantha is stuck with Shadow Ball, because she was purposely trying to extend the battle to see what was going to happen. So that's just my thoughts, my analysis of this particular battle and of things to come. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic in the next episode, which of course is Ash versus Sawyer.
Okay, here's the preview for next week's episode. Alright, Sawyer. What? Oh, really? Noivern versus Doublade? But, oh my gosh. There's no way Sawyer has the Icicle badge. Okay. Olympia, Valerie, and Wolfric? Really? Really? Wow. Okay. Doublade versus Noivern, though? Oh, Jenny. Team Flare. Cloudster. Cloudster versus Hawlucha. Oh. Oh, Greninja might be learning a new move. Is that what that was? Wait. I think Greninja might be learning a new move. That speed at the end. After Aerial Ace, it spun around really fast and then just disappears. Sawyer shocked, as well as Ash. Maybe Greninja's learning a new move? Maybe? I guess we'll have to wait and see. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it.
So I'm not going to look directly at the trailer right now, but I do have notes, so it's really, I will just discuss what's there because that's really the only thing that we need to discuss. So, what we have here is we have Sawyer's 8 badges, including the iceberg badge, which really upsets me because we're talking about a trainer that was one shotted at all times with one exception, let me explain, in the very last battle, which was the first Ash versus Alon episode. It was Sawyer versus Ash, and then it was Ash versus Alon. During that battle, Ash pretty much one-shotted Sawyer. He one-shotted Honedge, he one-shotted Shogun, even though we didn't really see that battle, but we can assume that it was a one-shot Shogun, bye bye bye. And of course, it was Sceptile versus Greninja. Now, this is the exception. While it's true that Greninja didn't one hit, one shot Sceptile, it's important to realize that Greninja, when it became Ash-Greninja, it one-shotted Sceptile when it was Ash-Greninja. And I'm pretty sure Pokemon Fan mentioned that. The problem that I'm having is that throughout all this time, Sawyer has his Pokemon, and suddenly he's strong enough to beat Wolfric and to stand up to Wolfric, getting an Iceberg badge. But we know by summary wise that for some reason Ash is struggling, and based on a potential new title, that Ash is not going to win the first time. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't like Sawyer having this quick speed growth in strength or whatever, but that's a topic to discuss next week's episode. So also, we get a battle that's Noivern versus Doublade. Also, based on the VA list and the preview, it looks like Pikachu is being screwed over, which normally I would be okay with, and I would enjoy the fact that Pikachu is taking a couple of seats. The problem is I don't want Pikachu to be overexposed. What I don't want is in the Pokemon League to have Ash-Greninja losing against this Mega Evolution, and that's like the first fight, and then it ends up with being Pikachu knocking out like maybe a couple of Pokemon, and then it's like at the very end, but Pikachu ends up losing, and that's how it loses. What I hope they're not doing is just shoving Pikachu in the focus. And what I really pray they don't do is next generation, they're like, oh, well, we'd kind of been snubbing Pikachu. Let's go ahead and have it star in every gym battle that we could possibly think of. So I'm not entirely happy that Pikachu is not in this particular battle, but I'm not upset about it. So then, of course, we have Noivern versus Doublade, but the problem with that is, unfortunately, Noivern only has acrobatics and supersonic to battle against Doublade, which is unfortunate. So maybe Noivern learns a new move or can manage to beat Doublade as it is, or maybe even loses. Then we have Clawitzer versus Halucha, which seems to be a very neutral battle, it looks like, at the moment. So that's that. Then, of course, we have Sceptile versus Greninja. There's one scene in particular where Greninja was running around really fast around Sceptile and everyone was shocked. I'm thinking that Greninja is going to learn a new move. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's Shadow Sneak or maybe even Night Slash, but I do think that Greninja is learning a new move because this seems very strange that Greninja is moving so quickly around Sceptile and almost seemingly vanishing, which is different than anything that we've discussed. A lot of people are suggesting that maybe it's Ash-Greninja can't turn into, or Greninja can't become Ash-Greninja or whatever, but that doesn't make any sense because Ash and Ash-Greninja cannot control the transformation, so having Greninja fly around very quickly around Sceptile, as it was shown in the preview, having Ash look very shocked and disturbed by this makes absolute no sense whatsoever to me. It seems far more likely that Greninja is learning a new move or something else. Now, there is one little bit of discussion, and I wanted to wait later on, but I can imagine the possibility that Greninja does not want to become Ash-Greninja because of the past two times of Ash passing out, which fits my theory very well before, that Greninja wouldn't abandon Ash because Ash was a worthless trainer and doesn't deserve the respect, but Ash-Greninja would probably leave Ash because it doesn't want Ash to suffer anymore in regards to the Ash-Greninja transformation. So that's all I wanted to say in regards to failing the Greninja form. So then we also have this new potential form, and as I already hinted at in my discussion, that of course it seems like we're getting a second gym battle with Wolfric. The first gym battle, which is right after Sawyer, is Snowbell Gym Match, a Battlefield of Ice. We presume that Ash isn't going to get the badge in that, and that we're going to get something in regards to the Winding Woods with the Dawn of Evolution, possibly a Greninja-related episode. And then we have this tentative, not yet confirmed title of Decisive Battle at Snowbell Gym, the final badge.
Stop. Hold on. As it turns out, that's a false title. However, that being said, my speculation for the video is still very relevant. So I'm going to continue the video that I made in the review. Then I'm going to stop again and I'm going to discuss new information that was just come to my attention. And a shout out to IGN Markel Guy for the information. So anyway, I'm going to continue the video with my speculation of the false title, and you'll see why I'm leaving it in this particular video.
The reason why it's not confirmed is because it hasn't been officially announced. What happened was, most likely, what I can guess is that someone who's trustworthy, a source that leaks information, leaked this title before it was supposed to be announced and discussed. So I'm really thinking that it is very tentative and very unofficial, but it is worthy of being discussed. So what this particular episode is definitely most likely going to be about is, of course, Greninja coming back and becoming Ash-Greninja, mastering the form maybe even, and then of course as a result of that, what we have here is Ash finally getting his final badge, and that's the end of the badge quest up until we get to the league or whatever. So yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be a rematch or a restart rematch. What I think it might happen is that Ash might pass out from Ash-Greninja, and that might be why Greninja runs away and Ash has to chase after it, and that's what we get with the Dawn of Evolution, the Winding Woods, where Ash comforts Greninja, saying that it's okay if it passes out. It's just something that they need to work together, and even though it's frustrating, they just have to get over it and deal with it. And that, of course, will lead into the gym battle again, where Ash-Greninja will manage to knock out the Pokemon. I would really like Mega Abomasnow, but I'm not entirely sure if it's going to happen. It could happen if Ash-Greninja is close to knocking out Abomasnow, and then of course Ash falls unconscious or passes out, and Wolfric's like, "Phew, dodged a bullet there for the, for somewhat," and then of course he becomes, and then he's like, well, I got to be prepared, and then of course that's where we get Mega Abomasnow. Maybe it's possible. It would be really cool if we did actually see that. Alright, so I'm back real quick. So it seems that we have new titles and new summaries here, and I just want to quickly go over them before I cut back to the review video that I recorded, so I can finish off the particular video. So what I want to go ahead and discuss is the Winding Woods Dawn of Evolution, because we have a new title. Or we have a new title for a title that was already revealed. No, we have a new summary. Serena and the others are worried about Ash after he disappeared into the forest that night and still didn't return by morning. So they all decide to go look for him. But as Ash is lost in the forest, that other Pokemon that disappeared as well appears before him. What is the answer that Ash found in the forest? Now, there's not really much I can say about this other than Ash is obviously crushed that he lost to Wolfric in however way he lost, probably passing out or fainting. And of course, he's going into the forest or whatever to try and figure out. What I think might be happening here is that Ash is going to see all these Pokemon evolve, and that's why all these Pokemon are disappearing because they're evolving. You know, you saw this Sentret, and then all of a sudden you see a Furret walking out. You're probably going to be a little confused because you didn't see it evolve. So maybe that's it, and maybe that will be what gets Ash into the mood of battling Wolfric again or whatever. I don't know. We'll just have to wait until we get a summary or preview to know exactly what's going on. Some have suggested that maybe we'll see Articuno in this episode. My only concern is that Articuno was not in the data broadcast while Zapdos and Moltres were. And considering it doesn't look like Greninja or Pikachu is with Ash, it's a little weird, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen there. So next, the real title for the next episode, which has Abomasnow in as the data broadcast, is June 2nd, XY&Z 29, Ash-Greninja versus Mega Abomasnow. The giant water shuriken triggers, which I think is really amazing. And of course, the summary for it is, after interacting with the Pokemon in the forest, Ash has matured a bit further. No longer lost in what to do, Ash once again issues a battle. Ash summons up everything he's gained so far on his journey, the knowledge, the experience, and the memories made with his Pokemon, but the ultimate opponent appears before him, Mega Abomasnow. Now, if I played my speculation correctly in regards to the fake title, you would have heard me say that I think that what happens is Ash gets close to defeating normal Abomasnow, but then of course Ash passes out or faints or whatever and loses, and then of course Wolfric dodged a bullet there, and that's why he would potentially use Mega Abomasnow. So I'm really hoping that's the case, and that Ash has a lot more work to do, and then of course he beats it and everything or whatever. Now, of course, this also implies that Ash actually does win the gym badge, of course, given the next title that I will talk about in the summary in regards to that, but it's whatever. So at least we know that Ash is definitely going to get his badge and everything, and we can move on. So then, of course, this is probably the most surprising of all, because in the previous episode, XY&Z 29, Ash-Greninja versus Mega Abomasnow was something that we could predict, because I've already suggested it, a lot of other people have suggested it, so it was something that made sense. A lot of people were thinking, well, if there was going to be a rematch, why not have Mega Abomasnow? But this one is surprising, not only because it's the Carbink episode, but because of what the Carbink episode is about. Find Carbink, Goodra, and Dedenne. On their way to Lumio City, Ash and his friends decide to stop by the wetlands where Goodra lives. Ash and the others are delighted to see Goodra again. But then trouble suddenly arrives. Incredibly, a single Carbink appears to be going on a rampage in the wetlands. Ash and his friends attempt to stop the Carbink together with Goodra and the wetland Pokemon, but then Team Rocket show up. So this was surprising. We could speculate that Goodra was going to come back, but the fact that this episode, the Carbink episode, has to deal with Goodra is what's surprising about this particular episode. I'm not going to go very much into speculation because I realize that I'm running out of time for this particular segment and I don't want my review to go too long. So I don't know. The way that the episode is implying is that maybe either Carbink will end up with Team Rocket potentially, or maybe Ash will capture Carbink that's on a rampage. I don't know. It says a single Carbink appears to be going on a rampage. This is different than like Florges and Floette and all those other Pokemon that was the problem in the first time. So maybe this could be a capture episode. I'm not really sure, but it's really nice to see Gudra again, and we can all hope that he will appear in the league and battle and stuff or whatever. But I don't know what's going to happen, and so we'll just wait until time comes around later on in the future. So anyway, I'm going to cut back to the review so I can finish off this entire video. So thank you for watching this quick interruption, and now back to your review video. So I don't think there's anything more else to discuss. That's pretty much the end of this particular video or whatever. I'm looking for Ash versus Sawyer to see what's going on. I'm really hoping that Sawyer isn't beating Ash's Pokemon left and right, because it would be purely unrealistic. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.